On July 30th, 2025, the ground shook violently near Russia's Kamchatka peninsula, startling residents and sending shockwaves of concern across the region. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, massive tectonic plates suddenly shifted, releasing a surge of energy that traveled rapidly toward the city of Petropavlovsk-Kamchatsky and its surrounding communities. This region, famous for its dramatic volcanoes and untamed landscapes, sits on the Pacific's Ring of Fire, a vast horseshoe-shaped zone notorious for frequent and powerful earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. The quake's epicenter was just 119 kilometers from the city and only 19 kilometers deep, making the shaking especially intense and the effects felt over a wide area. Buildings swayed alarmingly, windows rattled in their frames, and people rushed outside in fear, reminded once again of nature's unpredictable and overwhelming power. Kamchatka's residents are no strangers to earthquakes, but this one was different, bigger, more sudden, and more frightening than most had ever experienced. The ground itself felt unstable, trembling beneath their feet as if it could give way at any moment, leaving many feeling vulnerable and exposed. The city's emergency systems quickly kicked in, with alarms sounding and people following practiced evacuation drills, but anxiety and uncertainty remained high. The earthquake brought daily life to a sudden halt, forcing everyone to pause, gather outside, and assess their safety and the well-being of their loved ones. Because the quake was so shallow, the energy was released almost directly beneath the city, amplifying the shaking and making the impact even more severe. For a brief, unsettling moment, the solid ground felt as uncertain and unpredictable as the sea during a storm. As the shaking finally subsided, the community gathered together, bracing themselves for possible aftershocks and the challenges that might come next. The day was far from over. The real test of their preparedness, resilience, and unity was just beginning as they faced the aftermath of this powerful quake. Scientists measured the Kamchatka earthquake at a staggering magnitude 8.8, a number that immediately sent shockwaves through the scientific community. This was not just another tremor. This was a seismic event of historic proportions, one that would be studied for years to come. That's one of the most powerful quakes in the region since 1952, an event so distant that few alive today remember its devastation. The memory of that earlier disaster lingered in the background, a grim reminder of nature's force. Aftershocks rattled the area, including a strong 6.1 quake near the Coral Islands, compounding the fear and damage. Each tremor brought fresh anxiety, as residents wondered if the worst was truly over. The main quake's energy was immense, shaking buildings for nearly 3 minutes, a terrifyingly long time to endure such violence. Windows shattered, furniture toppled, and the ground itself seemed to move in waves. Residents described the sensation as if the very walls could collapse at any moment. Many clung to each other, seeking comfort as the world around them trembled. The shallow depth and high magnitude meant the quake's effects were felt not just on land, but also in the ocean. Cracks split the earth, and even the sea seemed unsettled, its waves disturbed by the force below. This set the stage for a new threat, a possible tsunami. Sirens blared along the coast, warning people to move to higher ground. Emergency officials knew they had to act fast, as the quake's size could send waves racing across the Pacific. Every second counted as they coordinated alerts and evacuation plans. The numbers on the magnitude scale became real-life danger for millions. What was once an abstract measurement now meant immediate risk and uncertainty. For those in Petropavlovsk-Kamchatsky, the quake was more than a statistic. It was a life-altering event. Families grabbed what they could and fled, unsure if their homes would survive. The long rolling motion tested the strength of buildings and the nerves of everyone inside. Each second felt like an eternity as they waited for the shaking to stop. As aftershocks continued, the region braced for the next phase of the disaster. Many spent the night outdoors, too afraid to return inside. The world was watching, waiting to see what would happen next, as the true scale of the disaster began to unfold. The powerful undersea quake triggered immediate tsunami alerts across the Pacific. Tsunami warning centers analyzed data and sent out urgent messages to countries thousands of miles away. Japan, Hawaii, French Polynesia, and even Chile were put on high alert. Sirens blared, and officials urged people to evacuate low-lying coastal areas. The warnings were clear: move to higher ground now. In many places, people gathered emergency supplies and checked on loved ones as they waited anxiously. The Pacific Ocean became a shared zone of concern as communities prepared for waves that could arrive within hours. The sense of urgency was palpable. Every minute counted. Authorities used every tool available, TV, radio, mobile alerts, to spread the word. The entire Pacific Rim was connected by this single event, united in hope that the waves would be smaller than feared. As the hours ticked by, tension grew. Everyone waited, watching the sea and listening for updates. Kamchatka was the first to feel the quake's aftermath. Buildings cracked, windows shattered, and some people were injured by falling debris. The real danger, though, was the tsunami that followed. Massive waves struck the northern Kuril Islands, with some reaching over 5 meters high. In Severokurilsk, the port and fish processing plant were flooded, and fishing boats were tossed like toys. Drone footage showed streets and buildings submerged under water. Residents rushed to higher ground, leaving behind homes and businesses. Despite the destruction, Russia reported no casualties, thanks to strong buildings and effective warning systems. Quick action and preparedness saved lives. The event was a stark reminder of the region's vulnerability and resilience. The community faced the disaster together, minimizing loss. The combination of solid infrastructure and rapid response made all the difference. As emergency crews responded to the quake and tsunami, Kamchatka's Klyuchevskoy volcano erupted. The earthquake may have triggered the eruption, opening new pathways for magma. Lava flowed down icy slopes, sending up clouds of steam and ash. Explosions hurled volcanic rocks skyward, and a massive ash plume darkened the sky. Flights were rerouted to avoid the dangerous ash. The region's emergency services now faced a dual crisis: earthquake, tsunami, and volcanic eruption. The interconnectedness of these natural forces was on full display. Kamchatka's people braced for yet another challenge from the restless earth. Across the sea, Japan responded swiftly to tsunami warnings. Memories of the 2011 disaster drove authorities to act fast. Evacuations were ordered along the eastern coast. Sirens sounded, and people calmly followed marked routes to higher ground. The Japan Meteorological Agency provided constant updates, predicting wave arrival times and heights. News channels showed empty harbors and deserted streets as the nation waited. Fortunately, the waves that reached Japan were smaller than feared, causing little damage. After hours of tension, warnings were lifted and people returned home. The system worked. Warnings were heeded, evacuations orderly, and lives protected. Japan's preparedness and discipline were evident to the world. Relief swept the country as the danger passed. The lessons of the past had paid off. The tsunami's reach extended to French Polynesia and Hawaii. In the Marquesas Islands, residents moved quickly to higher ground, fearing waves up to 8 feet high. Hawaii's sirens blared, and coastal areas were evacuated, causing traffic jams as families sought safety. Both regions waited anxiously, watching for the waves. The first waves were smaller than predicted, but officials urged caution until the danger had fully passed. Hawaii's advanced warning system and community drills paid off. No major damage was reported. By evening, warnings were downgraded and people returned home. The event showed how a single earthquake could disrupt life across the Pacific. Preparedness and quick response kept casualties low. Island communities proved their resilience. The Pacific's far-flung shores were united by vigilance and hope. Behind the statistics are the stories of those who lived through the disaster. Each number in the reports represents a person, a family, a life forever changed by the events that unfolded. In Petropavlovsk-Kamchatsky, residents described the quake as a terrifying, endless shaking. The ground seemed to move in waves, and the sound of breaking glass filled the air, making it feel as if the world itself was coming apart. One person recalled the fear that their building might collapse as everything rattled and swayed. The uncertainty of what would happen next was overwhelming, and every second felt like an eternity. In the Kuril Islands, survivors had to flee the tsunami, grabbing loved ones and running for higher ground. The rush to escape was frantic, with sirens blaring and the roar of the ocean growing louder behind them. Workers watched helplessly as their port and livelihoods were swallowed by the sea. Boats were swept away in moments, and years of hard work disappeared beneath the waves. These personal accounts reveal the true impact of the disaster: fear, uncertainty, and the struggle to stay safe. People clung to each other, searching for comfort and reassurance in the chaos. Yet, Amid the chaos, people helped each other and followed safety instructions. Neighbors became lifelines, and strangers offered support without hesitation. Communities came together, showing resilience and courage. Acts of kindness and solidarity became the foundation for recovery. The disaster was more than numbers, it was a test of human spirit. In the face of overwhelming loss, people found strength in unity and hope. The stories of survival and cooperation will be remembered long after the waves recede. These memories will shape how communities prepare for the future. Recovery would be long, but hope remained strong. Every day brought new challenges, but also new reasons to believe in a better tomorrow. The human side of the disaster was as powerful as the forces of nature. It is these stories of courage, loss, and hope that truly define what people felt. The Kamchatka earthquake and tsunami affected millions, but tragedy was limited by preparation and swift action. Years of building strong structures, developing warning systems, and practicing drills paid off. Scientists at tsunami centers quickly analyzed data and issued timely alerts. Ocean buoys confirmed the threat, giving communities precious time to evacuate. Education and regular drills meant people knew exactly what to do. In Japan, children practice these drills from a young age, and families keep emergency kits ready. When the real warnings came, there was no panic, just action. This culture of preparedness saved countless lives. The disaster proved that while we can't stop nature, we can be ready for it. Each event teaches us to build better, warn faster, and stay vigilant. The story of Kamchatka is one of both nature's power and human resilience. Preparation remains our best defense against the unpredictable forces of the earth.